Hi, readers. Happy Friday. I'm going to read to you from our chapter book read aloud, The One and Only Ivan. And last week, when I read the book to you, at the end, I asked you to tell me what promise did Ivan make to Stella. And the promise was he promised that he would take care of her, right? He said, I'll take care of Ruby. And that's exactly where we ended. I'm going to continue reading the story today, and then I'm going to have you do a task, just a quick little check-in about our chapter book read aloud. And then you also, today, I want you to spend 20 minutes reading on Epic or Raz Kids, but you don't have to send me any type of work connected to it, okay? So you're just going to send me a screenshot. I'm going to connect it to this assignment here. So you'll answer the question about the book, and then after you're finished reading on Epic or Raz Kids, just send me a screenshot of the book that you read. That's it. The other activity you're going to do is there's a story that is read to you. So you're going to listen to a story and follow along, and then just answer questions about that book. Okay? That's going to be it for reading today. This chapter is called Knowing. Before Mac, before Bob, even before Ruby, I know that Stella is gone. I know it the way you know that summer is over and winter is on its way. I just know. Stella once teased me that elephants are superior because they feel more joy and more grief than apes. Your gorilla hearts are made of ice, Ivan, she said, her eyes glittering. Ours are made of fire. Right now, I would give all the yogurt raisins in all the world for a heart made of ice. 5 men. Bob heard from a rat, a reliable sort, that they tossed Stella's body into a garbage truck. It took 5 men and a forklift. Okay, so those 2 pages are really, really hard to read, because even though it doesn't say that Stella died, it says that she's gone, and we know she was really sick, right? And she had Ivan promise her he'd take care of Ruby. She did that. She had her last conversation with Ivan, and then she did die. You know, maybe you have a sad text-to-self connection, you know? Yeah. Okay, the next chapter is Comfort. All day I try to comfort Ruby, but what can I say? That Stella had a good and happy life? That she lived as she was meant to live? That she died with those who loved her most nearby? At least the last is true. Crying. Julia cries all evening while her father sweeps and mops and dusts and cleans the toilets. When George sees Mac, he runs to him. I can only hear a few of his words. That. Should have. Wrong. Mac shrugs. His shoulders droop. He leaves without a word. When George wipes the fingerprints off my glass, his cheeks are wet. He doesn't meet my eyes. So on this page, George saw Mac, he ran to him, and we only catch a few of the words, that, should have, wrong, but we know that George must have said something about how he should have taken Stella to the vet, right? He should have had the vet come sooner, and that it was the wrong thing to do. He made a mistake. It was not good. And Mac didn't really react to it. He didn't say anything, right? He had his shoulders drooping. So I'm wondering how Mac is feeling right now. And I don't know about you, but I do have a little bit of a text-to-self connection, and I kind of can understand how when you make a big mistake, a huge mistake, how you don't always know how to own it. You don't know how to admit to it. Like, okay, that was my bad. I made that mistake. This is a huge, huge mistake. I mean, Stella's not around. She had the infection, and if the vet came, she might have lived. So he's probably feeling really bad, but it's hard to know. It's really hard to know with Mac. And we know George is upset. George's eyes are wet. His cheeks are wet, so he's crying and Julia's crying because they all really love Stella. The next chapter is The One and Only Ivan. When all the humans have left, I send Bob to check on Ruby. How is she? I ask when he returns. She was shivering, Bob says. I tried to cover her with hay, and I told her not to worry because you were going to save her. I glare at him. You told her that? You promised Stella. Bob lowers his head. I wanted to make the kid feel better. I shouldn't have made that promise, Bob. I just wanted... I point to Stella's domain, and for a moment, it seems like I've forgotten how to breathe. I wanted to make Stella happy, I guess. But I can't save Ruby. I can't even save myself. I flop onto my back. The cement is always cold, but tonight it hurts. Bob leaps onto my belly. You are the one and only Ivan, he says. Mighty Silverback. He licks my chin, and he's not even checking for leftovers. It's almost like he's trying to comfort him, right? I have a text-to-self connection. When I've been sad or, kind of down in the dumps, my cats know, and they try to comfort me, and they're extra cuddly usually. I had surgery when I was a kid, and my sister had a cat. She still has Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's 15 or 16. She's really old now. But she used to live with me and my mom and my sister. And Tinkerbell would always check on me after I had surgery. I got my tonsils and my adenoids removed. And she was always checking on me, and she wouldn't leave my side. And when I was in 4th grade, I was in a skiing accident. And my cat at the time, Minnie, I have pictures. She wouldn't leave my side either. She stayed by me the whole time when I was in bed and I couldn't really move. So I don't know, maybe you have a text-to-self connection with a pet. Have you ever been sad or bummed, or have you ever gotten hurt? And has your animal ever helped you? I'm wondering if you've ever experienced that, because it's sort of like what Bob is doing right now. He licked his chin. There were no crumbs. He licked his chin. He was trying to comfort him. Say it, Bob commands. I look away. Say it, Ivan. I don't answer, so Bob licks my nose until I can't stand it any longer. I'm the one and only Ivan, I mutter. And don't you ever forget it, he says. When I gaze at the food court skylight, the moon Stella loved is shrouded in clouds. Shrouded in clouds. If you look at the moon and the clouds are covering the moon. That word shrouded, it means covered. Once upon a time. All night, Ruby moans and sniffles. I pace my domain. I don't want to fall asleep in case she needs something. Ivan, Bob says gently, get some sleep, please, for your sake and for mine. Bob can't sleep unless he's on my stomach. I hear a stirring. Ivan, Ruby calls. I rush to my window. Ruby, are you all right? I miss Aunt Stella, Ruby sobs. And I miss my mom and my sisters and my aunts and my cousins too. I know, I say, because it's all I can think of. Ruby sniffles. I can't sleep. Do you know any stories the way Aunt Stella did? Not really, I admit. Stories were Stella's specialty. Tell me a story about when you were little, Ruby pleads. She puts her trunk between the bars. Please, Ivan? I scratch the back of my head. I don't remember things, Ruby, I admit. It's true, Bob says, trying to be helpful. Ivan has a terrible memory. He's the opposite of an elephant. Bobby lets out a long, shivery breath. Oh, well, that's okay. Night, Ivan and Bob. I listen to Ruby's soft sobs for long, horrible minutes. Then I hear myself saying, once upon a time, there was a gorilla named Ivan. And slowly and deliberately, I try to remember. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of the next part of the book because Ivan starts to talk a little bit and remember things from when he was little. The Grunt. I was born in a place humans call Central Africa, in a dense rainforest so beautiful no crayons could ever do it justice. Gorillas don't name their newborns right away, the way humans do. We get to know our babies first. We wait to see hints of what might yet be. When they saw how much she loved to chase me around the forest, my parents decided to call my twin sister's name Tag. Oh, how I loved to play tag with my sister! She was nimble, but when I got too close, she would leap onto my unsuspecting father. Then I would join her, and we would bounce on that tolerant belly until he gave us the grunt, the rooting pig sound that meant enough. Can you make that sound? It's like kind of a rooting. Like a rooting pig sound basically is like when a pig is trying to find food, and they're using their nose, and they're rooting, and they're trying to get to their, eat food. That's the sound, the grunt. That sound meant enough. That game never got old, although my father might have disagreed. Mud. It didn't take long for my parents to find my name. All day long, every day, I made pictures. I drew on rocks and bark and my poor mother's back. I used the sap from leaves. I used juice from fruit, but mostly I used mud. And that is what they called me, Mud. To a human, mud might not sound like much, but to me, it was everything. All right. Okay, I'm going to read just a little more. Protector. My family, which humans call a troop, was just like any other gorilla family. There were 10 of us. My father, the silverback, my mother and 3 other adult females, a juvenile male called a blackback, and 2 other young gorillas. Tag and I were the babies of the group. We squabbled now and then, as families will. But my father knew how to keep us in line with a simple scowl. And for the most part, we were happy to do what we were meant to do, to feed and forage and nap and play. My father was a master at leading us to the ripest fruit for our morning feast and the finest branches for our night nests. He was everything a silverback is meant to be, a guide, a teacher, a protector. And nobody could beat or could chest beat like my father. That reminds me a little bit of our text to self, of our so long, King Kong. A perfect life. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different, except that a gorilla gets to spend the day riding on his mother's back, like a cowboy on a horse. It's a pretty great system from the baby's point of view. Slowly, carefully, a young gorilla begins to venture farther and farther away from the safety of his mother's arms. He learns the skills he will need as an adult. How to make a nest of branches. Leave them tightly or they'll fall apart in the middle of the night. How to beat your chest. Cup your palms to amplify the sound. How to go vining from tree to tree. Don't let go. How to be kind, be strong, be loyal. Growing up gorilla is just like any other kind of growing up. You make mistakes, you play, you learn. You do it all over again. It was, for a while, a perfect life. The end. One day, a still day when the hot air hummed, the humans came. Okay, I am going to pause right there, and I'm going to just ask you to make a prediction. What do you predict happened to Ivan next? Okay, so he's telling us the story from his past, from when he was little, and I want you to predict what happened next. He said the humans came. What do you predict happened when the humans came? Okay, I think that's it for today. So I hope you have a nice weekend. All right, bye students.